Hello. Welcome to the Drowsy Mind. Tonight, you don't need to do anything at all. You don't need to fix anything, solve anything, or make any decisions right now. You can simply listen. Or not listen. Either way is perfectly fine. If your thoughts feel loud tonight, you're not alone. Many people find that when the day finally quiets down, when the lights are off and the world around them settles, that's when their mind seems to wake up. It can feel frustrating. You might have spent all day busy with tasks and conversations, and now, when you finally have permission to rest, your brain seems to have other plans. This is a very common human experience. Your mind getting louder at night doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're broken or failing at rest. It simply means your brain is doing what brains do. Tonight, we're going to explore why this happens. We'll look at the science behind those loud thoughts, those racing worries, those replays of conversations from hours or even years ago. But there's no pressure to understand everything. You don't need to remember any of this. This isn't a test. This is just something gentle for your mind to rest on, while your body settles into whatever position feels most comfortable. Some of what we talk about tonight might feel familiar. You might recognize your own patterns in these explanations. And if that happens, I hope it brings a small sense of relief. A reminder that you're not the only person whose mind works this way. There's no rush to fall asleep. Sleep will come when it comes. For now, you can just be here. Breathing. Listening. Letting your thoughts move through you like clouds drifting across a quiet sky. Your only job tonight is to be kind to yourself. To give yourself permission to rest, even if your mind hasn't fully quieted yet. Even if you're still thinking about tomorrow, or yesterday, or something that happened years ago. All of that is okay. Your mind is allowed to be noisy. And you are allowed to rest anyway. So let's begin. Gently. Slowly. With no destination in mind except this moment. And the next. And the next. During the day, your mind has a lot to focus on. There are tasks to complete, people to talk to, screens to look at, places to be. All of this activity keeps your attention directed outward. Your brain is constantly processing external information. What does this email say? Where do I need to go next? What did that person just ask me? This external focus serves a purpose. It helps you navigate the world. It helps you respond to what's in front of you. And in many ways, it keeps your internal thoughts a little quieter. Simply because there's so much else demanding your attention. But then night comes. The tasks slow down or stop. The conversations end. The screens turn off, or at least they're supposed to. And suddenly, all that external input fades away. Your brain, which has been directing its energy outward all day, now has space. Space to wander. Space to reflect. Space to think about all the things that were pushed aside during the busyness of the day. This shift from external to internal is completely natural. Your mind isn't malfunctioning when this happens. It's simply adjusting to the change in environment. During the day, your attention is like a spotlight, constantly moving from one thing to the next. At night, when there's less to shine that spotlight on externally, it naturally turns inward. And that's when you might notice thoughts you didn't have time for earlier. Worries about something you said. Plans for tomorrow. Questions about a relationship. Memories from long ago. These thoughts were probably there during the day too. But they were quieter, overshadowed by everything else you had to pay attention to. Now, in the quiet, they have room to surface. This is why some people describe their nighttime mind as feeling louder or busier, even though they're doing less. It's not that more thoughts are being generated. It's that there's less competition for your attention. The day offers distraction. The night offers space. And while space can be restful, it can also feel a little overwhelming when your mind fills it with everything you didn't have time to process earlier. This isn't a flaw in your design. This is just how human brains work. The shift from day to night, from external to internal, is one of the most fundamental rhythms of being alive. There's a part of your brain that becomes particularly active when you're not focused on a specific task. Scientists call it the default mode network. But you don't need to remember that name. What matters is understanding what it does. Think of it as the brain's background conversation. When you're not actively concentrating on something external, this network turns on. It starts reflecting, remembering, imagining, planning. This network helps you think about yourself, your past, your future, your relationships, your sense of who you are. It's involved in daydreaming, in mind-wandering, in those moments when you suddenly realize you've been staring at the wall for 5 minutes, lost in thought. During the day, when you're focused on tasks, this network is quieter. Your brain switches to what's sometimes called task-positive networks. These help you focus on what's right in front of you. But at night, when there are fewer tasks demanding your attention, the default mode network becomes more active again. It starts its background conversation. For many people, this is when the thinking feels loudest. Because this network isn't focused on solving a specific problem right in front of you. Instead, it's wandering through memories, possibilities, concerns, ideas. This wandering isn't pointless. This network helps you make sense of your experiences. It helps you understand yourself and others. It's part of how you plan for the future and learn from the past. But it can feel overwhelming when you're trying to rest. Because unlike a task with a clear beginning and end, this kind of thinking can go on and on. One thought leads to another, which leads to another, which circles back to the first thought. It's a bit like a conversation that doesn't have a natural stopping point. The thoughts just keep coming, because there's always more to reflect on, always more to consider, always more to wonder about. If you've ever lain in bed thinking, why can't I just turn my brain off? This is part of the answer. This network doesn't have an off switch. It's designed to be active during rest. It's one of the ways your brain processes your life when you're not actively doing something else. The default mode network isn't the enemy. It's just doing its job. But understanding that it exists, and that it's naturally more active at night, can help you feel a little less frustrated with yourself when your thoughts won't quiet down. Your brain likes completion. It likes when things are finished, resolved, tied up neatly. But most days don't end that way. You go to bed with emails still unanswered, projects still in progress, conversations that felt unfinished, decisions you haven't made yet. These unresolved tasks and situations create what psychologists sometimes call open loops. They're threads your brain is still holding onto, waiting to see what happens next. During the day, you might not think about them much. You're busy with other things. But at night, when your mind has more space, these open loops can surface. Your brain starts reviewing them, almost like it's checking to make sure nothing important has been forgotten. You might find yourself thinking about a work project that's due next week, or a text message you need to send but haven't yet, or a conversation with a friend that ended on an uncertain note. None of these thoughts are urgent in this moment. There's nothing you can actually do about them right now, lying in bed. But your brain doesn't always distinguish between problems that need solving right now and problems that can wait until tomorrow. This tendency to review unfinished business at night is connected to something called the Zeigarnik effect. The basic idea is that incomplete tasks tend to stay more active in your mind than completed ones. Your brain holds onto them a little more tightly, as if it's trying to make sure you don't forget to finish them. This can be helpful during the day. It helps you remember what you need to do. But at night, it can feel like your brain is working against you, keeping you awake with reminders of everything that isn't done yet. Sometimes, these thoughts aren't even about big important things. You might find yourself thinking about a minor errand you forgot to run, or a small detail from a conversation earlier in the day. The content doesn't have to be significant for it to occupy your mind at night. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, you're not alone. Many people lie awake mentally reviewing their to-do list, or replaying conversations they want to finish, or planning what they need to do tomorrow. Your brain is trying to be helpful. It's trying to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. But in doing so, it can make rest feel harder to reach. One thing that sometimes helps is acknowledging these open loops gently. Not trying to solve them. Not fighting with them. Just noticing them. Yes, I remember that email. I'll handle it tomorrow. Sometimes, that simple acknowledgement is enough to let the thought settle, at least for a little while. Your brain just wanted to make sure you hadn't forgotten. And once it knows you remember, it can relax a little more. Some people find that their thoughts at night aren't just busy. They're critical, reviewing the day, searching for mistakes, replaying moments they wish had gone differently. If you recognize this, you might be someone with high standards for yourself. Someone who wants to do things well, who cares about getting things right, who worries about letting people down. These are not bad qualities. They show that you care. They show that you're thoughtful and conscientious. But they can also make rest difficult, because rest requires letting go of evaluation for a while. Perfectionism often shows up loudly at night. During the day, you're in action mode. You're doing things, moving forward. At night, when the action stops, your mind has time to look back and critique. You might replay a conversation, thinking about what you should have said instead. Or review a presentation, focusing on the parts that didn't go perfectly. Or think about all the things you didn't get done today. All the ways you feel like you fell short. This kind of thinking can feel productive. It can feel like you're learning, improving, preparing to do better tomorrow. And sometimes reflection is helpful. But there's a difference between gentle reflection and harsh review. When perfectionism is involved, the review session often isn't gentle. It's more like an interrogation. Why did you say that? Why didn't you do it differently? Why can't you ever get this right? The tone you use with yourself matters. If you spoke to a friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself at night, they might feel hurt or discouraged. But because it's happening inside your own mind, you might not notice how harsh it sounds. Self-criticism at night is often fueled by fear. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being judged by others, or judging yourself and finding yourself lacking. Your brain thinks it's protecting you by pointing out these mistakes. It thinks that if it can identify every flaw, you can fix them and avoid future problems. But this strategy doesn't work well at night, because you can't fix anything while lying in bed. All you can do is feel bad about it. If perfectionism and self-criticism are familiar companions in your late-night thoughts, it might help to remember this. Your worth is not determined by your productivity, or your performance, or whether you said exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to have limits. And you are allowed to rest, even on days when you didn't get everything done, even when things didn't go perfectly, even when you're still learning. One of the most common patterns of thought at night involves the future. Not just planning, but worrying. Asking what if over and over again. What if something goes wrong tomorrow? What if I can't handle it? What if people are upset with me? What if I'm making the wrong decision? These thoughts are a form of anxiety. And anxiety, at its core, is your brain trying to prepare you for potential threats. It's trying to predict what could go wrong, so you can be ready to handle it. This is actually a survival mechanism. For much of human history, being able to anticipate danger helped keep people safe. If you could imagine what might go wrong, you could prepare for it, avoid it, protect yourself. But in the modern world, most of what we worry about isn't immediately life-threatening. We worry about social situations, about work performance, about relationships, about health, about money. These concerns are real. They matter. But they're also often uncertain and unpredictable. And that uncertainty is difficult for the brain to handle. Your brain doesn't like not knowing. It wants answers, clarity, control. So when faced with uncertainty, it starts generating scenarios. It tries to fill in the blanks with predictions, often focusing on negative possibilities. This is called catastrophizing. Imagining the worst possible outcome, even when it's unlikely. Your brain does this because it thinks preparing for the worst will help you cope if it actually happens. But lying in bed at night, running through worst-case scenarios, doesn't actually prepare you for anything. It just creates more distress in the present moment. The tricky thing about what-if thinking is that it never fully resolves. You can answer one what-if question, only to have your brain immediately generate another one. But what if that happens? And then what if this happens? And what if? It's like trying to plug holes in a sieve. No matter how many you address, there's always another one. This can make anxiety at night feel exhausting. because you're not just lying there worrying about one thing. You're worrying about a chain of possibilities, each one branching off into more possibilities, until you're overwhelmed by scenarios that haven't happened and may never happen. If this is familiar to you, it might help to remember that your brain is doing this because it cares about your well-being. It's trying to keep you safe. But safety doesn't come from imagining every possible danger. Safety comes from knowing that you can handle things as they arise, one at a time, when and if they actually happen. You don't need to have all the answers tonight. You don't need to solve every potential problem before it arrives. You can trust yourself to respond to things when they actually occur, in the moment, with whatever resources you have. Sometimes, the thoughts that keep you awake at night aren't just mental. They're connected to what you're feeling in your body. You might notice your heart beating a little faster, or your breathing feels shallow, or there's tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach. These physical sensations can trigger worry all on their own. Why is my heart racing? Am I having a panic attack? Is something wrong with me? This is a common pattern. Your mind notices a sensation in your body, interprets it as a sign of danger, and then starts generating anxious thoughts about what that sensation might mean. And those anxious thoughts create more physical tension, which creates more sensations to notice, which creates more thoughts. It becomes a loop that feeds itself. This loop is sometimes called the anxiety cycle. Physical sensations trigger worried thoughts. Worried thoughts create more physical tension. More tension creates more sensations. And around it goes. The thing is, most physical sensations at night are completely normal. Your heart rate naturally varies throughout the day and night. Your breathing changes depending on your position and level of relaxation. Muscle tension is common, especially if you've had a busy or stressful day. But when you're lying in bed, especially if you're already feeling anxious, it's easy to interpret these normal sensations as signs that something is wrong. This heightened awareness of your body is called interoceptive awareness. It's your ability to sense what's happening inside your body. For some people, this awareness is very sensitive. They notice every heartbeat, every breath, every tiny sensation. This sensitivity isn't bad. It can actually be a gift in some contexts. But at night, when you're trying to rest, it can make you hyper-focused on your body in a way that increases anxiety rather than reducing it. You might find yourself monitoring your heartbeat, checking to see if it feels too fast or irregular, or focusing intensely on your breathing, which can actually make breathing feel more difficult and unnatural. The more you focus on these sensations, the more prominent they become. It's like when someone mentions not thinking about a pink elephant, and suddenly that's all you can think about. If you recognize this pattern, one thing that can sometimes help is gently redirecting your attention elsewhere. Not by fighting the sensations or trying to make them go away, but by simply noticing something else for a moment. The weight of your body on the bed, the temperature of the air around you, a sound in the distance. Your body sensations are still there, but they don't have to be the only thing your attention is focused on. You can also remind yourself that these sensations, while uncomfortable, are not dangerous. Your body knows how to breathe. Your heart knows how to beat. These processes have been happening automatically your entire life, and they'll continue, even when your anxious mind wants to take over and control them. Sometimes the thoughts that visit you at night aren't about the future at all. They're about the past. Old memories can surface unexpectedly in the quiet. Something you said years ago that you still regret. A moment of embarrassment that still makes you cringe. A conflict that was never fully resolved. A loss that still feels heavy. These memories can feel especially vivid at night. It's like they're happening all over again. The emotions come back. The physical sensations return, and you might find yourself lying there, reliving something that happened long ago. Why does the brain do this? Part of it is that your mind is always processing experiences, trying to make sense of them, trying to learn from them. Memories that are connected to strong emotions, especially uncomfortable ones like shame, regret, or hurt, tend to resurface more often. Your brain is still trying to figure them out. Still trying to understand what happened and why. Still trying to resolve feelings that never fully settled. Sometimes these memories come up because something during the day reminded you of them, even if you didn't consciously notice the connection. A smell, a phrase, a situation that echoes something from the past. Other times, they seem to appear out of nowhere, triggered by the simple fact that your mind has space to wander. And these old experiences are still stored there, waiting to be noticed. It's important to know that this is common. Many people lie awake replaying old embarrassments, or thinking about past relationships, or remembering difficult moments they wish they could change. Your mind isn't punishing you by bringing these memories up. It's not trying to make you feel bad. In its own way, it's trying to process and integrate these experiences, so they don't stay stuck as unresolved emotional fragments. But that doesn't make it any easier when you're lying in bed at 2 in the morning, cringing about something you said in high school, or grieving something you lost years ago. If this happens to you, one small thing that might help is to acknowledge the memory with a bit of kindness. Not to dismiss it or push it away, but to recognize that the person in that memory, the version of you from the past, was doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. You can't change what happened, but you can offer yourself a little compassion in this moment, here in the present, where you're still learning and growing and figuring things out. The past is already written. It exists as it happened. But the meaning you make of it, the way you relate to those memories, that can still change. You don't have to solve it all tonight. You don't have to forgive yourself or anyone else before you're ready. You can simply acknowledge that these memories exist, that they still carry some weight, and that it's okay for them to be there, even when they're uncomfortable. Many of the thoughts that keep people awake at night are about other people. Relationships, connections, the ways we're tied to one another. You might find yourself thinking about someone you care about, wondering if they're upset with you, replaying something they said and trying to figure out what they really meant, worrying about whether the relationship is okay, whether you're valued, whether you're close enough or maybe too close. These thoughts often stem from attachment needs, the fundamental human need to feel connected, safe, and secure in our relationships. When we're uncertain about a relationship, when we're worried about rejection or abandonment, when we're concerned that someone might pull away, our minds can become hypervigilant. We start scanning for signs of distance or disconnection, analyzing every interaction, looking for evidence that things might not be okay. This is especially common at night. During the day, you might be busy with other things. But at night, in the quiet, That worry about connection can take up all the space in your mind. Did I say something wrong earlier? Why didn't they text back? Are they mad at me? Are we drifting apart? These questions can spiral. Because when it comes to relationships, it's hard to know for certain what another person is thinking or feeling. You can guess, interpret, assume, but you can't read their mind. And that uncertainty, combined with your own fears about not being enough or being left behind, can create a storm of anxious thoughts at night. For some people, this pattern is connected to early experiences of relationships. If you learned early on that connection wasn't always reliable, that people might leave or become emotionally unavailable, your brain might be especially sensitive to any signs that a relationship is unstable now. This doesn't mean you're being irrational. It means your brain is trying to protect you from getting hurt. It's trying to spot problems early, so you can fix them or prepare yourself. But this protective vigilance can make rest very difficult. Because there's always something to worry about in relationships. Always some small interaction that could be interpreted as a warning sign. If this resonates with you, it might help to remember that most relationships are more resilient than our anxious thoughts suggest. One unanswered text doesn't mean someone has stopped caring. One disagreement doesn't mean the relationship is ending. One awkward moment doesn't erase all the connection that came before. People are complex. They have their own worries, their own busy lives, their own internal experiences. And most of the time, what you're worried about in the middle of the night is much bigger in your mind than it is in reality. You are worthy of connection. You are worthy of care. And the people who truly value you will still be there in the morning, regardless of what your anxious mind tells you at midnight. We should talk for a moment about what happens before bed. The hours leading up to sleep can shape how quiet or loud your mind feels at night. One factor that many people notice is screens. Phones, tablets, computers, televisions. The light they emit, and more importantly, the content they deliver, can keep your brain in an activated state. This isn't about scolding or creating new rules to stress about. It's just helpful to understand what's happening in your brain when you spend your evening scrolling through social media, watching intense shows, or reading news that triggers strong emotions. Each piece of content you consume requires your brain to process it. A notification, an image, a headline, a message. Each one is a small stimulus, and your brain responds to each one, even if only briefly. Over the course of an evening, this adds up to a significant amount of input. Your brain has been processing, reacting, evaluating, sometimes for hours. And then you turn off the screen and expect your mind to immediately quiet down. But brains don't work quite that way. The activation doesn't stop the moment you close your eyes. Those networks that were engaged with the content, they need time to settle. The blue light from screens also plays a role. It can signal to your brain that it's still daytime, which can interfere with the natural release of melatonin, the hormone that helps you feel sleepy. But beyond the light itself, it's often the content that matters most. Watching something that makes you laugh, cry, or feel anxious, reading articles about topics that worry you, having intense conversations via text, all of this keeps your emotional and cognitive systems active. Again, this isn't about blame. There's nothing wrong with using screens in the evening. Many people do. But if you notice that your mind feels particularly loud on nights when you've been especially engaged with screens, there might be a connection worth noticing. Some people find it helpful to create a buffer between screen time and sleep. A period of time, even just 20 or 30 minutes, where they let their brain start to wind down. This might involve dimming lights, listening to calming music, reading something gentle, or simply sitting quietly. It's not about creating a perfect routine. It's about giving your brain a chance to transition from the stimulation of the day to the rest of the night. Overstimulation doesn't just come from screens. It can come from any source of intense input. A difficult conversation, a busy, chaotic day with no breaks, loud environments, constant demands on your attention. When you've been overstimulated all day, your nervous system can remain elevated for hours afterward. It's like your brain is still running at a high speed, even though the activity has stopped. Understanding this can help you be a little gentler with yourself on nights when your mind won't settle. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's that your system needs time to come down from a highly activated state, and that time doesn't always align perfectly with when you want to sleep. There's a difference between thinking about something and ruminating on it. Both involve turning thoughts over in your mind, but they feel very different, and they lead to different outcomes. Reflection is when you think about something with curiosity and openness. You might consider what happened, what you felt, what you learned. There's a sense of movement to it, like you're gently exploring, and when you're done, you can set it down and move on. Rumination is different. Rumination is when your mind goes in circles, replaying the same thoughts over and over without resolution. It's repetitive and often distressing. You're not moving toward understanding. You're just stuck in the same loop, asking the same questions, feeling the same discomfort. Why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. What if they think I'm stupid? I always do this. Why can't I ever get it right? Around and around, with no real progress, just more distress. Rumination is strongly linked to anxiety and depression. It's one of the ways these conditions maintain themselves, by keeping your mind stuck on negative thoughts and feelings. At night, rumination can be especially difficult because there are fewer distractions to pull you out of the loop. During the day, you might ruminate for a few minutes before something else demands your attention. But at night, in the dark and quiet, you can ruminate for hours. One of the hallmarks of rumination is that it doesn't lead anywhere. If you're truly reflecting on something, you might gain insight, reach a conclusion, or at least feel like you've processed something. But rumination just cycles. You end where you started, maybe even feeling worse because you've spent so much time and energy going nowhere. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, it's worth noting that rumination is often driven by the belief that if you think about something hard enough, you'll figure it out or solve it. Your brain keeps circling back because it thinks there's an answer it's missing. But some questions don't have answers. Or at least, not answers you can find by thinking in circles at midnight. One thing that can help break the rumination cycle is noticing when it's happening. Just recognizing, oh, I'm ruminating right now. I'm going in circles. That awareness itself can create a tiny bit of space. Not enough to stop it completely, but enough to remind yourself that this process isn't helping, and you don't have to keep feeding it your attention. Some people find it helpful to gently redirect their attention to something else. A sound, their breathing, the feeling of the blanket against their skin. The rumination might come back. Often it does. But each time you redirect, you're practicing a different response. You're showing your brain that these thoughts don't have to be the center of your attention, even when they feel urgent and demanding. Gentle reflection asks, what can I learn from this? Rumination asks, why am I like this? If you can recognize which one you're doing, you might find a little more freedom in how you respond. The way you talk to yourself matters. Especially at night, when you're alone with your thoughts, the tone of your internal voice can shape how you feel. Some people have a very harsh internal critic. A voice that points out every mistake, every flaw, every way they've fallen short. This voice might sound angry, disappointed, or contemptuous. Other people have an anxious internal voice, constantly warning them about what could go wrong, urging them to be careful, to worry, to prepare for the worst. And some people have a mixture of different voices, depending on what they're thinking about. These internal voices aren't usually intentional. They often develop over time, shaped by how people spoke to you when you were young, by the expectations placed on you, by the ways you've learned to motivate or protect yourself. But even though these voices feel automatic, you do have some influence over them. Not total control, but the ability to notice the tone and, sometimes, adjust it slightly. Imagine if a friend came to you at night, worried and unable to sleep. You probably wouldn't say, "Why are you such a mess? Why can't you get it together? Everyone else can sleep, what's wrong with you?" You'd probably be much kinder. You might say something like, "It's okay." A lot of people struggle with this. You're not alone. It's going to be okay. But when it comes to ourselves, many of us default to the first option. We speak to ourselves with a harshness we would never use with someone we care about. Why is that? Part of it might be the belief that being harsh will motivate us to change or improve. That if we're tough enough on ourselves, we'll finally get it right. But research suggests the opposite. Self-criticism tends to increase anxiety and shame, which makes it harder to sleep, harder to function, harder to actually make positive changes. Self-compassion, on the other hand, the practice of speaking to yourself with kindness, tends to reduce anxiety and increase resilience. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or avoiding responsibility. It just means treating yourself as someone worthy of care, even when you make mistakes, even when you're struggling. At night, when your thoughts are loud, you might try a small experiment. Notice the tone of your internal voice. Is it harsh? Critical? Anxious? And then, just for a moment, try speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you care about. This is hard. But you're doing your best. It's okay to struggle sometimes. You're allowed to be imperfect. It might feel awkward at first. It might even feel untrue. But just the act of trying can create a small shift, a moment of relief in the midst of difficult thoughts. You don't have to become your own cheerleader overnight. You don't have to force positivity when you're not feeling it. But you can experiment with softening your tone, Just a little. And see what happens. Your nervous system responds to cues of safety. When your brain perceives that you're in a safe environment, it can relax more easily. When it perceives threat or uncertainty, it stays more alert. One way to help your brain feel safer at night is through predictability. Predictable routines, predictable environments, predictable cues that signal. This is a safe time to rest. This is why evening rituals can be helpful for some people. Not because there's anything magical about the specific activities, but because doing the same things in the same order each night creates a sense of structure and predictability. Your brain starts to learn. When we do these things, rest usually follows. This could be as simple as brewing a cup of herbal tea, dimming the lights, washing your face, putting on comfortable clothes. The specifics don't matter as much as the consistency. For some people, listening to the same type of music or sounds each night helps. For others, it's reading for a few minutes, or journaling, or simply sitting quietly. These rituals aren't about forcing yourself to relax. They're about creating conditions that support relaxation, if and when your nervous system is ready for it. Predictability also extends to your sleep environment. When your brain knows what to expect in your bedroom, it can settle more easily. The same pillow, the same temperature, the same level of darkness or light. This doesn't mean you need a perfect setup. It just means that consistency helps your brain recognize. This is the place where we rest. Safety cues can also be more subtle. The feeling of a familiar blanket. The sound of a partner breathing nearby. The knowledge that the doors are locked, that the space is yours, that you're not in danger. For people who have experienced trauma or significant stress, creating a sense of safety at night can be more complex. The nervous system might have learned to stay alert even in objectively safe situations. And that's not something that changes overnight. But even small cues of safety can help over time. A night light if total darkness feels threatening. White noise if silence feels too empty. Placing objects in specific places as a way of establishing control and order. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is simply to give your nervous system as many signals as possible that this is a safe time and place to let your guard down. Some nights, no matter what rituals you follow or what cues you create, your mind will still be loud. And that's okay. Rituals aren't magic. They're just tools that can sometimes help. But over time, with consistency, your brain can learn to associate these cues with rest. And that association, built night after night, can make settling a little easier. One of the most helpful things you can understand about your mind is this: you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are events that happen in your mind. They come and go, like clouds moving across the sky. But you, the awareness that notices these thoughts, you are more like the sky itself. This might sound abstract, but it's a distinction that can change how you relate to difficult thoughts. When a thought appears, especially a distressing one, it's easy to become completely identified with it. To feel like the thought is you, or that it's a truth you must accept. I'm not good enough. Something bad is going to happen. I always mess everything up. These thoughts can feel absolutely true when they arise. And when you believe them completely, they shape how you feel and behave. But thoughts are not facts. They're just mental events. Your brain generates thousands of thoughts every day, many of which are inaccurate, unhelpful, or simply random. The ability to notice a thought without becoming fused with it is called cognitive diffusion. It's a skill you can develop over time. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," you might notice, "I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough." That small shift in language creates space. It reminds you that the thought is something you're observing, not something you are. At night, when difficult thoughts arise, this practice can be especially helpful. Instead of wrestling with the content of the thought, trying to prove it wrong or make it go away, you can simply notice it. There's a worried thought about tomorrow. There's a critical thought about something I did today. There's an anxious thought about my health. You're not denying the thought or dismissing it. You're just acknowledging it as a thought, rather than as an absolute truth. This doesn't make the thought disappear. Often, it will still be there, but it might hold a little less power over you when you can see it as something your mind produced, rather than as a reflection of reality. Your mind is a thought-generating machine. That's what it does. It produces thoughts constantly, some useful, some not, some accurate, some wildly off base. You don't have to believe every thought that passes through. You don't have to engage with every worry, or solve every problem your mind presents to you at 2 a.m. You can let thoughts be there, without letting them define your experience of this moment. This is not about positive thinking or forcing yourself to think differently. It's about recognizing the nature of thought itself. Thoughts are temporary, changeable, and not always reliable guides to reality. You are the space in which thoughts arise. You are the awareness that notices them. And that awareness is always here, steady and present, even when the thoughts themselves are chaotic and loud. There's a paradox when it comes to managing a loud mind at night. The more you try to force it to be quiet, the louder it often becomes. This happens because trying not to think about something actually requires thinking about that thing. To monitor whether you're thinking about it, to check if it's gone yet, you have to bring it to mind over and over. It's like trying not to think about a pink elephant. The instruction itself makes you think about it. So when you lie in bed thinking, "I need to stop thinking," or "Why won't my brain shut up?" you're actually adding more thoughts to the pile. You're creating a secondary layer of thinking about thinking, which makes everything feel even busier. An alternative approach is to let your brain be noisy. To stop fighting with it and simply allow the thoughts to be there. This doesn't mean you have to engage with every thought. It doesn't mean you have to solve every problem or answer every question. It just means you stop trying to push the thoughts away. Imagine your thoughts are like waves in the ocean. If you try to stop the waves from coming, you'll exhaust yourself and the waves will keep coming anyway. But if you let the waves be waves, if you stop resisting them, they can rise and fall on their own, without you having to do anything about them. This acceptance of mental noise can actually reduce its intensity over time, because you're no longer feeding it with resistance and frustration. You're no longer adding a fight on top of the noise. Your thoughts are allowed to be there, even the uncomfortable ones, even the ones that don't make sense, even the ones that seem to repeat endlessly. They're just thoughts. And thoughts, when left alone, tend to change and move on their own. This approach can feel counterintuitive at first. It can feel like you're giving up or surrendering to the noise. But there's a difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up feels like defeat. Letting go feels like releasing a burden. When you let your brain be noisy, you're not saying, "This is fine and I love it." You're saying, "This is what's happening right now, and I don't need to make it different in order to be okay." Some nights you might lie there with thoughts swirling, and you might not fall asleep quickly, but you can still rest. Rest doesn't require an empty mind. Rest just requires permission to be as you are, thoughts and all. The moment you stop fighting with your own mind, something shifts. The struggle eases. And sometimes, paradoxically, that's when the thoughts finally start to quiet down. Not because you force them to, but because you stop giving them so much attention and energy. Your environment plays a role in how easily you can rest. And while you can't always control everything about your surroundings, there are small adjustments that sometimes help. These are not rules. They're just options to consider, things that work for some people, but not necessarily for everyone. Light is one factor. Darkness signals to your brain that it's time to sleep. For some people, making the room as dark as possible helps. For others, a small amount of light feels safer or more comfortable. You get to decide what works for you. Temperature matters too. Research suggests that a cooler room, usually around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, supports better sleep for most people. But again, this is a general guideline, not a strict rule. If you tend to feel cold, extra blankets can help. If you tend to feel warm, lighter bedding or a fan might make things more comfortable. Sound is another consideration. Some people need complete silence to rest. Others find that silence feels too empty or makes every small noise distracting. White noise, nature sounds, or gentle music can help mask unpredictable sounds, creating a more consistent audio environment. Again, this is personal. You might find something that works for you through gentle experimentation. Your bed itself matters. Not in the sense that you need an expensive mattress or perfect pillows, but in the sense that your body should feel reasonably supported and comfortable. If you wake up with pain, or if you find yourself constantly adjusting your position, it might be worth considering whether small changes, an extra pillow, a different sleeping position, might make a difference. Screens, as we mentioned earlier, can be tricky. Many people use their phones or tablets in bed. And sometimes that's fine. But if you notice that using screens right before trying to sleep makes your mind more active, it might be worth experimenting with putting them away a bit earlier, or at least being mindful of what you're looking at. Calm, gentle content is less likely to activate your nervous system than intense, emotionally charged content. Some people find that having a glass of water nearby reduces small anxieties, or that wearing socks helps them feel warmer and more secure, or that a weighted blanket provides a sense of comfort and grounding. These are all small things. But small things can sometimes make a difference. The key is to approach your environment with curiosity rather than rigidity. Not "I must do all of these things perfectly," but "I wonder if this might help." And if something doesn't help, or if it makes things worse, you can simply try something else, or return to what you were doing before. There's no perfect sleep environment that works for everyone. What matters is finding what helps you feel safe, comfortable, and at ease, in whatever way that looks for you. Everyone has bad nights. Nights when sleep feels impossible. Nights when your mind races and your body won't settle. Nights when you lie there watching the hours pass, feeling frustrated and exhausted. If you're having one of those nights right now, please know that this doesn't define you. One difficult night, or even several difficult nights in a row, doesn't mean you'll never sleep well again. Sleep is variable. It changes from night to night based on countless factors. Stress, health, what you ate, what you did during the day, even things you're not consciously aware of. Some nights will be easier than others. And that's normal. That's part of being human. It's easy to spiral into worry when you're lying awake. To start thinking, I'm never going to fall asleep. Tomorrow is going to be terrible. I can't function without sleep. What if this keeps happening? These thoughts add a layer of anxiety on top of the sleeplessness itself. And that anxiety can make it even harder to rest. But here's something worth remembering. Your body is more resilient than you think. One night of poor sleep won't ruin you. You might feel tired tomorrow, and that's uncomfortable, but you'll get through the day. And then tomorrow night, your body will have a stronger drive to sleep, which often makes the next night easier. Sleep has a way of balancing itself out over time. Your body knows what it needs. Even when it feels like everything is going wrong, your system is still working to regulate itself. It's also worth knowing that rest has value, even when you're not fully asleep. Lying quietly, allowing your body to be still, giving your mind permission to wander without demanding anything of it. This provides some benefit. Not the same benefit as deep sleep, but not nothing either. So even on nights when sleep feels out of reach, you can still offer yourself rest. You can still lie here, breathing, being gentle with yourself, letting the night unfold however it unfolds. Bad nights are not a reflection of failure. They are not punishment. They're just part of the rhythm of living. And they pass. They always pass. Tomorrow might be different. Next week will be different. Sleep will come again, when your body and mind are ready. For now, all you need to do is be here. In this moment, with whatever you're experiencing, without judgment, without needing to fix it. You're okay. Even on the hard nights. You're okay. Let's bring things back to something simple. Something gentle to rest your mind on. Your thoughts get loud at night because the world gets quiet. During the day, there's so much to focus on outside yourself. At night, your attention turns inward, and all the things you didn't have time to think about during the day finally have space to surface. This is normal. Your brain isn't broken. It's just doing what brains do. Some of those thoughts are about unfinished things. Tasks you didn't complete. Conversations that felt incomplete. Your brain is trying to make sure nothing important gets forgotten. Some of those thoughts are worries about the future. What if questions that don't have answers yet? Your brain is trying to protect you by imagining what could go wrong, so you can prepare. Some of those thoughts are about the past. Old memories, regrets, moments you wish had gone differently. Your brain is still processing these experiences, trying to make sense of them. And some of those thoughts are about yourself. Judging, critiquing, wondering if you're good enough. Your brain is trying to help you improve, but sometimes the way it tries to help feels harsh. All of this mental activity is your brain's attempt to take care of you, to keep you safe, to help you prepare, to make sure you learn and grow. But it doesn't always get the timing right. And it doesn't always use the gentlest approach. So here you are, lying in the dark, with all these thoughts moving through you, and it can feel overwhelming. But remember this, thoughts are just thoughts. They're not facts. They're not commands. They're just mental events, passing through like clouds. You don't have to believe them all. You don't have to solve them all. You don't have to make them go away. You can just let them be there, while you rest anyway. Your worth isn't determined by how productive you were today. Your value isn't measured by whether you said the perfect thing in every conversation. You don't have to earn the right to rest. You're allowed to be here, just as you are, with a noisy mind and a tired body, doing your best. And your best is enough. It's always enough. And now, we can let everything slow down even more. There's nowhere you need to be right now. Nothing you need to do. Nothing you need to figure out. Just this moment. And this breath. And the next moment. And the next breath. Your body knows how to rest. Even when your mind feels busy, your body can begin to settle. You might notice the weight of your body against the surface beneath you, the places where you're supported, the gentle pressure of the blanket, or the pillow, or whatever is touching you right now. You don't have to change anything. Just notice. Notice the temperature of the air, whether it's cool or warm, how it feels on your skin. Notice any sounds around you, near or far. Just let them be part of the background. If thoughts come, they can come. You don't have to push them away. They're allowed to be there, moving through like weather. And you can be here, breathing, resting, safe. You're safe right now. In this moment, in this space, you're safe. There's nothing you need to do about tomorrow. Tomorrow will unfold in its own time. Tonight, you can let it all go. You can let your shoulders drop if they're holding tension. You can let your jaw soften if it's clenched. You can let your whole body soften, little by little, breath by breath. There's no rush, no timeline, no expectation. Sleep will come when it comes. And until then, this is enough. Just being here. Just resting. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to let go. You're allowed to simply be, without doing, without fixing, without trying so hard. Your mind might still be busy. That's okay. Minds are like that sometimes. But beneath all the thoughts, there's stillness. You don't have to find it. You don't have to create it. It's already there, underneath everything, always there, like the quiet depth of an ocean, even when the surface is moving. You can trust your body. You can trust that it knows what to do. You can trust that sleep will come, in its own time, in its own way. And until then, you can just be here, breathing, resting, letting everything be exactly as it is. You're doing beautifully, even if it doesn't feel that way. Even if your mind is still loud. You're doing beautifully, and you're not alone. So many people are lying awake right now, thinking similar thoughts, feeling similar feelings. You're part of something larger, part of the great human experience of lying in the dark, wondering, thinking, hoping for rest. And rest will come. Maybe not right now, but it will come. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Be kind. Let your breathing be easy. Let your thoughts move like clouds. Let your body sink a little deeper into rest. There's nothing wrong with you. You're exactly where you need to be. Exactly as you are. And that's enough. You're enough. Rest now. Or don't rest. Either way is okay. Just be here. In this gentle, quiet moment. Breathing. Being. Safe. Good night.